What if you could capture the king in chess? Why can't you even capture the king in chess in the first place? Like, if you move your king into the line of fire, that's your fault. And in my opinion, you should just lose. Well, today we're gonna figure out why it's like that, disregard everything we learned and just make it possible. So historically, chess wasn't about killing the king, it was about cornering it and capturing it alive. After all, a captured king you can get ransom for is better than a dead king. Checkmate literally means the king is helpless. Like, the king was never meant to be captured, just trapped. But what if it could? How would that change the tactics and mechanics of the game? So let's break it and see. Your king can wander into danger and boom, you just lose. Or even better, move a pawn without double checking. Congratulations, you just blundered your king. By the way, I know the chessboard looks a little weird, but don't worry about it, we're gonna get to this in a little bit. But how does king capture actually change the game? Sure, you can blunder your king, but what if you just don't? Well, even if both players are skilled and never leave their king hanging, the game still, in my opinion, becomes much more interesting. First off, stalemates are no more. No matter the position, there will always be a legal move. Actually, there can still be a position where no piece has a legal move, but it's literally impossible to reach. So if this happens to you somehow, please just resign, because I am not implementing stalemates. Sorry Eric, but you have just been massively nerfed. And draws in general are much less frequent now. You might not realize it, but in the endgame, when you walk your king out of his little shelter, it's incredibly easy to blunder it, especially when you're used to this being impossible. Even positions that were previously a mathematical draw are now winnable. If the position is a completely locked king versus king, you can get creative in no time and maybe intentionally blunder the king to capture an opponent's pawn. If they're moving fast enough, they might not notice and you just win the game. Psychological pressure also skyrockets. In classic chess, you're shielded against yourself by the rule that your king can be captured, letting you calculate freely without fearing an instant loss. Now, every single move carries real danger. It's not just about checkmate, you have to be hyper aware of every piece on the board, because unlike other pieces where missing a threat isn't always fatal because you might be able to just recapture. For the king, one capture and it's instant game over. Let's back up a moment. What on earth is this board? What are those pieces? Where did they come from and what are we even doing? Let me catch you up to speed. I am making Chess 2, a chess website meant for all the absurd ideas Anarchy Chess came up with. Speaking of which, meet the Traitor Rook, the new piece I'm adding this month. The idea for this guy came from this post, introducing the Traitor Rook, movable by both sides of the game. Now, you might think this sounds like a great idea with the best of intentions. What could possibly go wrong? One thing you quickly learn from hanging out Anarchy Chess is that the community is, let's just say, not particularly great at game design. That's the fun of it, of course. The ideas are posted as jokes, not really meant to be an actual playable variant, which is unfortunate for me, because that's exactly what I'm trying to do. If we just let each side control the Traitor Rook, they would just capture these other pieces until the board is empty. Like, if you capture my pawn with the Traitor Rook on the first move, I'm not just gonna let it slide and capture the rook and let you win the pawn, I'm gonna do the same to you, and thus the cycle continues. So I had to get creative. My first idea was simple. If the problem is capturing, what if you made the Traitor Rook completely harmless? Just a tower standing there, maybe blocking attacks or defending the king. Again, sounds cool in theory, but in practice it barely even matters. Your opponent can just move it out of the way. This idea was basically just duck chess, but worse. I wanted something dynamic but predictable, something that could actually influence the game without completely breaking it or defending the purpose. Something that rewards careful play. That's when I came up with this idea. Control is determined by the number of pieces touching the Traitor Rook. 2 white pieces adjacent, but only 1 black, it's loyal to white. 4 black pieces adjacent, black takes control. A tie, both sides can move it, but it can't capture. The law behind it is that the Traitor Rook is easily manipulable. It doesn't care about size, it just agrees with whoever can convince it to be on their team. This makes the Traitor Rook both chaotic and logical. Control can shift dynamically as the board evolves. The Traitor Rook is both a weapon and a liability. Using it offensively might be tempting, a well-timed capture of a minor piece might give you a decisive advantage, but every capture carries real danger. Misjudge the board and you could lose control, effectively giving your opponent a free rook. Managing it effectively requires constant attention. You have to position your surrounding pieces to maintain control and decide when it's worth risking a capture. I think this is what makes the Traitor Rook unique. It's never just a free rook, it's a living, shifting piece that adds a layer of strategy to the game. And that brings us to another question. How much is it even worth? You might think, well, it moves like a rook, so it's 5 points, right? Not quite, because of the adjacency upkeep and the risk of losing control. I think it makes sense to value it at around 4 points. Slightly less than a normal rook, but stronger than a minor piece if managed correctly. I added another piece this month, which we will get to in a bit, but a chess website isn't just a board game simulator, it's also a website. So I added some social features too this month. First up, stars. Definitely not a stolen idea from GitHub. You see someone funny in chat, or I don't know, a friend, you can star them and now they're saved in your personal list of people I like. The profile even shows a shiny little star count, which is our version of Cloud. The reason for them is that I wanted a way to log your account so only the people you want can send you challenges. Not that challenges exist yet, but I promise they will eventually. You can also block people now, and I finally implemented the setting phase so you can change your randomly generated username. You can also choose a flag, upload a profile picture, and also interact with all the social features. Anyways, see this piece? This is the Antiqueen. Basically, it moves anywhere the queen can't in a 3x3 area, which might remind you of another certain piece. This actually comes from the most upvoted fairy piece on Anarchy Chess, which kinda tells you what we have to work with here, which is not a lot. Chess 2 is actually nearing completion, which is not a sentence I thought I would ever say, but there are still new exciting features I want to add. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, but no pressure. See you next time.